Hey, everybody, welcome to our Saturday night show. This is going to be viewed across multiple channels, including Wiki Fever and John's Lone Box. This is our Cryptids and Conspiracy show. This is where we talk about cryptids and conspiracies. Yeah, it's not very complicated. Tonight we're going to talk about. Now we did do a show on the Shroud of Turin. That's in our playlist if you want to go back and check that out. But tonight we're not going to talk about the validity of the Shroud of Turin, whether it's real or not. We did cover that last time. But around 1988, there was an allowance by the Vatican for their test to be run on the Shroud of Turin. It was called the Carbon 14 test, which our archaeology kind of has this long and storied relationship with. And those gentlemen basically came back with the result that the shroud was from the medieval period. And everybody ran with that. Pronouncement. But there's a lot of like weird things surrounding that particular pronouncement. A refusal to share their information, to show their homework for 30 years. Since then, there has been a recanting of the results by the people and there's also been some doubling down by the people who basically did this test. And so we're going to go over was this just bad science on their part, bad scientific methodology, or was there another coordination that was going on? Was this conspiracy? Was this an actual conspiracy, or was it just a screw up? And tonight, to help me do that, I'm going to start out with our newest member of the panel, this gentleman right here.
Truly exceptional. And he had one thing you haven't got.
What's that, sir?
A great big bushy beard. Come on.
That makes me laugh. Thank you. One of my favorite movies, so thank you.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah.
Happy Valentine's Day to you. We're
Yep.
spending Valentine's Day together. It's so romantic.
Well, there you go. Yeah, you're very handsome. You wore your best Star Trek drip.
You can't tell, but I also have my Star Trek on.
There you go. Nice to be informed. Anyway, or warned. Anyway, so we got this gentleman. We'll bring
If it's
him
no
on.
Scottish, just clap!
Hey, hello there. Good evening.
Indeed.
How's everyone doing?
Welcome.
I have a conspiracy.
It's nice to see that.
Are you
nice
Grant
to see everybody
Morrison?
survive Friday the 13th.
I said I have a
that was
conspiracy.
yesterday.
Cruel. Are you also
Go
Grant
ahead, John.
Is he also Grant Morrison? Scottish, bald, into all this crazy stuff? You never know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you never know.
Mm.
I'm not familiar with that person,
Well,
so
Oh, he's a
Morrison
comic.
happens
He's
to be
he's
a
a comic book writer
yeah,
that you
Grant
look
Mar-
remarkably like. He's another handsome fellow.
yeah. You saw. He has a thicker accent than you, Cruel. Believe it or not. Yeah. There you go.
I didn't think that
Not a
was
follicle
possible.
on his head.
But, ah,
Anyway, well, you may notice we're not introducing the other two tonight. Wookie sent me some text earlier this week, letting me know that he was under the weather. and that he didn't know he'd make it tonight. So we're here, and he's not. So I'm assuming no. Abby did say that as soon as we stopped, we ended the show last week. That he wasn't going to make it tonight. So that's no. No Abby either. But they're with us in spirit, I'm sure. Which means we're of course we're going to slag them pretty much the whole entire time.
I love
That's
it.
the rule. That's the rule. Anyway,
I mean,
just so you know, John, if you don't,
I'm just saying, not Brian in the chat. I don't want to know what Wookiee's up to. This philandering. Oh, hello, not Brian.
No,
Yeah.
no. Speaking of which, we do have a few chats here. Hello, hey John and Bunny. Have we done a show on the Nazca lines?
That's a
I'm
good
not sure
one.
what that is.
Those are those big
You know
lines.
what that is, John?
Yeah, by the Andes Mountains. I think it's either in Peru or Chile. I forget where, but there's these lines that look like gigantic animals, but you can only see them if you're way up in the air. So, like, they were there for hundreds of years, but we didn't notice them until airplanes started flying over. So the theory is that they were like landing strips for aliens or signals for aliens or whatever. But the bottom line is they physically exist. People made them hundreds of years ago. What we don't know is what are they for and why. Real cool stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good
All
one.
right.
That's a good
we'll add that to the list. Yeah, we'll add that to the list. All righty. So all right. Evening all. Not Brian. Hey. It's Valentine's Day. Wookie will be philandering. All right. Not without his wife. Not without his wife. Anyway. So anyway, yeah, I don't need the image in my head. Thank you, not Brian. Anyway. All right.
I was
Reset.
thinking that, Thanks,
Anyway, so it's okay. So we tonight we're going to talk about the 1988 carbon 14 test. Why are we talking about it? Because there's still the narrative out there that anytime you bring up the Shroud of Turin, and this happens to be from within my own church, I offered to teach a class on the Shroud of Turin because I think it's a pretty significant Christian artifact, one of the very few we have that's got so much documentation. And I was kind of like, the point was made to me, it's been debunked, when in fact it has not been debunked, because it's like the it's like they say the lie like circumnavigates through the globe while the truth is trying to get its shoes on. You heard that?
No, I don't believe I've heard that one before.
It's just a saying. Anyway, so I thought we'd look at the evidence surrounding the carbon 14, which has been pretty much at this point has been completely totally invalidated. And we're just going to look at the information and the question we're looking at tonight: was the Shroud part of a targeted conspiracy? That's what the question is about. The poll is up. If you are in my chats, either one of the two. There won't be one in Wookie's chat due to his absence. But basically, that's basically the angle we're taking tonight. So the speculation about the Shroud itself it's probably not going to be part of the discussion. We covered that ground last time. If you want to look at that show, it's still up. It's one of our better shows. It's worth a look. But anyway, you're going to see a lot of information that I used in that show and this one tonight, because I know that these clips won't get me gacked. And
Right.
so
Allegedly.
that's kind of important. Anyway,
Allegedly. Let's use that word.
Allegedly. They still cleared the system, so yeah, the live algorithm is a lot more aggressive these days.
The
so
algorithm
who knows?
might have a hissy fit or something. So that's the thing.
Right. So my policy is I try to offer like information that that kind of like gives you the facts, not just speculation. And so everything you see tonight has factual basis to it. Okay. I'm going to start with this clip here, explaining that well, it's self-explanatory. It's a little dry, so stick with us, but it's pretty important information. Is in very zoomed or very it's very important to this discussion. Anyway,
right
here you go.
All the conclusions from this study are from actual analytical data of 3 samples taken from the rays, 1973 and carbon-14, 1988 sampling corner, lower left corner of frontal image area of the shroud. The many strands of fibers from the 3 threads analyzed gave FTIR signature spectra of cotton and definitely did not give evidence of linen flax fibers. In the first analysis we did, we saw maybe some impurities of flax there, but we went back and they looked at those over and over again, and they said, no, this is just cotton. That's all there is to it. The FTIR data confirms the Ray Rogers assertions that he made in the thermochemical acta that the material from the radiocarbon area of the shroud is significantly different from that of the main cloth. It confirmed that. The radiocarbon samples was thus not part of the original cloth and is invalid for determining the age of the shroud. That was his 2 main allegations in thermochemical acta. The samples taken for the carbon-14 dating of the shroud in 1988 were all taken from the same corner and were not representative of the main shroud. What was true for the part was not true for the whole. And that's one of the basic rules in doing analytical chemistry, is that if you have a sample that you're going to analyze, that sample must be representative of the whole. Especially if this sample is to characterize an area or a population. Here again, the sample must be representative of the whole. And they did not do this. Therefore, the approach used for conducting the age sampling, age dating, was flawed, and the results are therefore invalid. The recommendation, a new age dating must be conducted on samples that are representative of the shroud image area. This is an acknowledgement for the people that worked on this. This is all, they're all Los Alamos people. They're all PhDs and very knowledgeable in their area. And that's it.
Okay. So
Right.
that is so that's official. This basically official recantation of the actual process itself. And so they're not arguing the results; they're just invalidating the results of the test itself, saying that the test was improperly conducted. Therefore, the results can no longer be supported. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was doing a little bit of looking up on carbon dating. I admit I know nothing about carbon dating, so I was kind of hoping to get a lot of information out of this. So I was looking it up. And one of the things, the very first thing that I saw was carbon dating is not good for things that are less than 50,000 years old. Now, whether or not you agree about Jesus or whatever, we can all agree that it's not 50,000 years old. So I don't know enough. So was carbon dating, like, did we learn this just recently? Or, you know what I mean? Did we start realizing that
no, there's actually two methods of carbon dating. One is more destructive than the other, and there's another one that's probably more accurate to newer artifacts, but they use the older one, the more destructive one, and that also the less accurate one. And so that's one of the issues that comes up. Got a comment over here. Let me go ahead and get that.
A little convenient, but hey ho. A little convenient.
Shroud of Turin, haha. Yep, okay. Got that. Anyway, anytime you do the Shroud of Turin, you're gonna get this. You're gonna get stuff like this. No big deal.
Yeah, so
but
like carbon dating dinosaur bones and things like that, you know, we could all agree, I hope, that they're 50,000 years or older, but like the Shroud of Turin, it's not old enough. So I don't know if that means there's a conspiracy. I'm still out on this one, so I don't know. But that's the very first thing that popped up is it's no good for younger stuff. So go figure. So why would they even use it? You know,
okay,
that's what I don't know.
Right,
boggles the mind.
Right.
Boggles the mind.
Boggle. That's a good word, boggle.
Well, let me go ahead and play our first clip. This lady did a very great job covering this. She's very well researched, and she impressed me last time, and so I'm just going to go ahead and use her clips this time. But she covers this very, very. I've read after her, and I've done research after her, and I've yet to find any flaws in her research, and so this first clip is going to answer that question for you. Here you go.
Gary Gove from the radiocarbon dating laboratory at the University of Rochester goes so far as to say this: almost without exception, there were people who honestly believe it's Christ's shroud. It's a well-known fact that scientists can produce whatever result they want. If you believe that passionately in something, you can steer the results. My God, we've all been guilty of that. In the end, the carbon daters win the day, and all other tests that the Vatican had approved are canceled with the exception of the carbon dating. Now, through these many months of planning, a protocol for how the carbon dating process would go down had been established. 7 different laboratories would do the testing. 2 different methods of carbon dating would be used: the old method that has an established track record, and the new method that hasn't been around as long but needs a much smaller sample. The test will be supervised and coordinated by Dr. Michael Tite of the British Museum. Samples of the shroud will be taken from at least 3 different spots. The STIRP team, who practically know every fiber of the shroud already, will be the ones to decide where the samples will come from and do the cutting. Each laboratory will test 3 samples, 1 of the shroud and 2 other control samples of different ages. Only the test supervisor will know the age of the control samples so he can check the accuracy of each laboratory's dating process. It's a blind test. The samples are all going to look alike so that laboratories running the tests won't be able to tell which sample is the shroud and which are the controls. The laboratories are to maintain strict secrecy, not tell anybody about the results except anyone authorized by the British Museum. All the labs will do the tests at the same time and without exchanging information. 3 institutions, the British Museum, the Meteorological Institute of Turin, and the Pontifical Academy of Sciences, will be the ones to analyze the results. And finally, after the results have been analyzed, the analyzers will meet with the radiocarbon labs to make sure that they all are in agreement, then communicate those results to the Vatican. That seems pretty thorough to me, but it takes about a hot minute for things to start unraveling. First, the STRP guys are suddenly cut out of the loop. Someone else is going to choose the locations and cut the samples. Then, the Vatican decides it's only going to be 1 sample instead of 3. Then they decide to use only 3 labs instead of 7, of which the University of Rochester is not one. Sorry, Harry. And they're all going to use the newer, less established of the 2 carbon dating methods. Well, aren't we off to a great start? But on April 21st, 1988, test supervisor Michael Tite, people from the Catholic Church, people from the 3 carbon dating laboratories, which, if you remember, end up being Oxford University, the University of Arizona, and the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, photographers, and a camera crew who are there to document the entire operation, all gather at the Turin Cathedral. 2 textile specialists are chosen to decide from where on the shroud the sample should be taken. One of those experts points to the blood stain caused by the wound in the side and asks, "What's that large brown patch?" Eventually, they decide to cut a piece from the corner, like the corner that has been grabbed and stretched by probably dozens of different people over the years of exhibitions. The corner that is also pretty close to the area that's been burned away by the fire in 1532 and stained by the water used to put out that fire, which most likely left nice little deposits of dust, blood, and other contaminants. The textile experts pick the worst possible area.
Yep. The worst possible area.
Yeah. So if you look at the protocols that were, by the way, the comment from earlier was just about John evidently spelled Turin and just put turn. So yeah. So that's what that was about. That wasn't a expression of doubt. But we do, every time I've talked about the shroud, I have gotten some hecklers. So that might be happening. We'll see. But anyway, so basically what happens is the scientific method is that you establish protocols and then you follow those protocols. And that's part of the method.
Yeah.
And that's you agree upon protocols and you follow through with those protocols. And so at the beginning of this whole process was off. Okay. And so they immediately show up and shove the guys out of the room who have been researching this thing since the early 70s and say, we brought our own guys, and the guys that they brought in didn't even know that this was that was a blood stain. So people obviously who are not going to know enough about the cloth to make a proper determination. So that right there, to me, do you think that moves us towards the direction of a conspiracy?
I smell shite.
Okay, so
I-
all right. So that's a yes from
Had to say it.
from Krill. Yeah. I know the clip.
Yeah, I just, it makes no sense to set up the protocols. Everybody agrees with the protocols, and then to change the protocols. So I mean, if what do they say? A conspiracy is just when two people, you know what I mean? So a conspiracy doesn't have to be a worldwide thing. So yeah. It fits the definition of a conspiracy. And of course, my mind starts going, why? You know, why?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Once again, you never argue conspiracy when something could be explained by incompetence, and so
right.
So we're still kind of like on the level of incompetence so far, but then some other hanky stuff starts showing up. So let me play the next one.
Point. While I'm not going to go deep into the data that was published to back up their conclusion, since that's way above my pay grade, I will highlight just one little tidbit. When doing these kinds of statistical analyses, statisticians come up with what's called the significance level. That's a measure of the reliability of the results. So the higher, the better. The British Museum doesn't actually
I got the wrong clip. Let me play the right clip. Here we go.
Okay, so the sample is cut and divided into 3 roughly equal pieces, one for each lab. Michael Tite then brings out the control samples, which have a different weave pattern. But instead of unraveling all of the samples, he leaves them as is, meaning it is now very easy to figure out which one is from the Shroud. There goes the blind testing protocol. The samples are weighed and put into numbered metal cylinders, which will go to the 3 testing labs. Oh, and remember that camera crew hired to film the whole thing? They don't film this part, so there's no way to verify which samples go into which containers. Not to mention that Michael Tite decides at the last minute to throw in a 4th sample, some thread from a cape from St. Louis of Anjou, which is known to be dated to the 13th century. They don't have metal cylinders for the extra samples, so they just get put into envelopes. Each lab is given their metal cylinders and their envelope and are asked to sign a receipt. The receipt lists the ages of the control samples. So now they don't even have to bother looking at the weave to figure out which sample is the Shroud. It's just written right there for them. This is like the Three Stooges convention. But it gets even better. The weights of the samples the labs receive don't all match the recorded weights of the samples that were taken from the Shroud. They were supposed to all perform the test at the same time, but Arizona does theirs in May, Zurich in June, and Oxford does theirs in July. At first, they seem to do a decent job of sticking to the secrecy protocol and reject a request from the Vatican to send one of their people to watch. But Zurich thinks it's perfectly reasonable to let in an entire BBC documentary crew. And remember our friend Harry from the University of Rochester? Well, he manages to twist the arm of someone in the Arizona lab to let him watch the process as long as he signs a non-disclosure agreement. Harry and his assistant have made a bet for a pair of cowboy boots on the outcome of the tests. The assistant thinks the results will be from the time of Christ, but Harry thinks it's going to come back as dating to medieval times. The ink is not even dry on the paper with the results before Harry breaks his NDA by phoning his assistant to claim his shiny new boots. In Oxford, 2 weeks before the results are announced to even the church, a book entitled The Shroud Unmasked, Discovery of the Greatest Forgery of All Time, is already on the presses. When confronted about this breach of secrecy protocol, the guy in charge of the Oxford lab, Professor Edward Thomas Hall, says, "I think it was a hopeless prospect to keep the results secret. You couldn't with the best will in the world." Okay, so the tests are completed and given to Michael Tite at the British Museum. But no one else. The other 2 institutions who are also supposed to analyze the data are completely cut out of the process. The statistical analysis is completed by the people from the British Museum under the watchful eye of Michael Tite, and the results are announced at a press conference including both Professor Hall and Michael Tite in October of 1988, with Professor Hall not mincing words about his thoughts on the matter, stating, "There was a multi-million-pound business in making forgeries during the 14th century. Someone just got a bit of linen, faked it up, and flogged it. Some people may continue to fight for the authenticity of the shroud, like the Flat Earth Society, but this settles it all as far as we are concerned." Nice exclamation point.
Check it off this thing. Check off. Nope.
Okay.
Nope. We didn't do hee-haw. Doesn't make it look good, does it?
Okay. So no. So this is a comedy of errors. If this is incompetence on a unconscionable level. Okay. So this is how you're supposed to conduct yourself when you do an experiment. First of all, you have something that a sample that's roughly equivalent to what you're testing. That is like the control, okay,
Correct.
and that was the
Right, yeah.
that other sample they had, and it's supposed to be added in to the other samples without any document or without any like way to that it's that it stands out. Okay, that way you can be sure that if that tests differently from your samples, then you know that you have a data set. Okay, so they screwed that up. All right, and then you're supposed to like take your samples and anonymously with like no way of knowing what you're getting. That way you look direct, you just basically get the data. And the person who knows what the samples are collates the data. And that was this Michael Tite character, okay? But then you have a book that's already on the presses. You have all these articles that are basically written and are put out across the world as almost the day that they have this press conference. And the press conference itself is odd in that scientific method declares that you just state the data. You don't state the conclusion. And the data is supposed to be available. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what this next clip is about. The
Okay.
data.
Yes,
Oh,
that was my next question.
plot thickens. plot thickens.
Point. While I'm not going to go deep into the data that was published to back up their conclusion, since that's way above my pay grade, I will highlight just one little tidbit. When doing these kinds of statistical analyses, statisticians come up with what's called the significance level. That's a measure of the reliability of the results. So the higher, the better. The British Museum doesn't actually publish that number, but using their own published data, that significance level for the Shroud's test comes out to 4.176, which they then round up to 5, which is important because anything under 5 is written off as completely unreliable. But it gets worse. Despite numerous requests over the years, they never give up the original data. That is, until a French lawyer finally cuts through the red tape with the British version of our Freedom of Information Act request and gets all of the data in 2017. Turns out that the labs actually performed more tests than what was reported. And when you add in those test results to the pool, the results get even less reliable. Kind of makes that quote from Harry Gove that it's a well-known fact that scientists can produce whatever result they want even more interesting, doesn't it? Now, with all of that dirty laundry being aired and throwing some serious shade on the validity of the carbon dating results, it still begs the question, why don't the results point back to the 1st century? Well, there are a multitude of theories out there that talk about various different kinds of contamination that could be taking place. Excessive handling, excess carbon deposits from the fire, or even laboratory cleaning procedures of the sample before testing. But one American couple, Joseph Marino and Sue Benford, not scientists, just Shroud hobbyists, managed to find something no one else has. Looking at the pictures of the Shroud, they noticed that the weave pattern in the area where the samples were cut was ever so slightly misaligned from the rest of the cloth. Following their hunch, they sent the pictures to 3 textile experts who all say, yup, that's a reweave. So the couple publishes their research with their conclusion being that the area that the samples came from is an area that was repaired from the fire damage. The response from the scientific community? Amateurs. Enter a guy named Ray Rogers, an original member of the STIRP team who has pretty much had it up to here with crazy Shroud theories, who reads about this new patch area theory and blows a gasket. He sets out on a mission to prove them wrong, but figures out they're right. Taking a close look at the samples, he discovers fibers that are cotton, which the Shroud is made of flax. And these fibers are dyed, which the main part of the Shroud is not. So he confirms that the area was rewoven with thread at least partially containing cotton fiber and then dyed to make it match in color to the rest of the cloth. Hats off to the nuns in 1532 who did their job so well that the repair was all but invisible to the naked eye. Roger then goes back and looks at the ultraviolet pictures taken by his team in 1978, and there it is. That area of the cloth does not fluoresce in the same way. It's not the same cloth. And of course, that's exactly where the sample was taken.
That's interesting. I didn't know any of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
can I just shout out Fabrizio Aiello
basically. Go ahead.
I said Fabrizio Aiello is in the chat.
Yeah,
Who has Horace H. Hoover. Go check that out. HoraceHoover.com. Great comic. Got to give him a shout.
Gotcha. Well, let me bring this up. Why is it that when holy artifacts get looked into religion, we find out years later a lot of the processes get fudged? That's a good question.
Yeah.
That is a good question.
Funny that. All right, Captain.
Knuckle Rap. Hey, Time Travel Police. Good to see you. And Hell Wookie, wherever he is. He's got the sniffles tonight. Wuss. All right.
I didn't know Wookiees could catch a cold.
I'm serious. I'm
He's
serious.
coughing up a
That's
hairball.
part of. Oh, that's right.
Exactly.
That's good point. The Shroud is fake. Brought to you by people who later give us 2 weeks to slow the spread. Interesting. Good point.
Trust the science. We are the science.
Anyway, so okay. So far, what we're looking at is a massive level of incompetence that is. This is like career-ending incompetence. In the scientific community, if you find out that that people are basically botch a test this badly, then you would never trust anything they had to say again. And so these are like 3 major laboratories that stuck their neck out here. And I did have a clip that I was going to show from a gentleman who's part of the STIRT team that has been studying this since the early 70s. He's a Jewish gentleman. He's not Christian. And he was a photographer. And he went in completely, totally ready to debunk this stupid Christian artifact and call it a day. And wound up being one of its most passionate defenders all the way to the time he died a few years back. And he said that they have been trying to get that when you publish a finding, especially when it's definitive, as they were supposedly publishing, then you are required by the scientific community to show your homework.
Right.
And you show all the data sets.
Right, yeah.
And that way, anytime the scientific method requires that people be able to come behind you, look at the data, and independently come up with the same result.
Oh, that's one of the biggest parts of the scientific.
They didn't release that data for 30 years.
Right. One of the biggest tenets of the scientific method is it has to be repeatable. You know what I mean? That's why they do tests over and over and over and over again, because we don't know. Human beings are, for the most part, I'm a conspiracy guy, but when I see an experiment, I'm willing to say that maybe the human was flawed. They misread something. They were tired. They did something wrong, whatever. And that's why we repeat it. And if we get the same, because people make claims throughout history. So, people, whatever, I'm making stuff up. They see flying saucers or whatever. So they have ghosts in their house. So that's a claim. And then people set up cameras for years and they don't capture it again. You know what I mean? But that's what we have to do. We can't accept that as science because that's one person's anecdote. So we repeat the experiment. I don't know how many times, enough times that we can prove that this is consistent. So it sounds like this wasn't done scientific. Yeah. I hate to say it because it sounds like they're damaging the Shroud, but they need to do this test a few more times and show every step of the way. You know what I mean?
Right.
Every step of the way.
Yeah.
Well, see, the Arizona laboratory, if you look at these Shroud debunk podcasts, and there's plenty of them, mostly by atheists and lesbians, oddly enough. Not necessarily at the same time, but they point to this other retest that Arizona says they did with the fibers that they had. And so they go back to some fibers that they had, and they're like, well, these fibers we found were not cotton; they were linen.
Well, the lesbians who tested this, they took the fibers and they munched on it, and they found out that it was from a rug.
Yeah, I'm talking about the debunkers.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm not talking about the actual scientists. I think they were all cranky old men. There may have been. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah. All right. So, but basically, they went back and they retested, and they said, "Well, we didn't find any dye. We didn't find all this. We didn't find that cotton. But where they took the weave, what they took their sample from. This is how disingenuous this is. Where they took the sample from was where the weave and where the cotton was woven into the linen. And so, obviously, what they did was they found a linen like thread out of that patch that they had. That wasn't the repair. And then they ran their test on that and says, well, they didn't run the carbon-14 again on that sample. They just ran the test that determined that, it was linen and it wasn't dyed. So, i.e., you were in the clear here. And so these people, well, why didn't they carbon-14 that sample piece? But no, all they tested on that one was, did it have dye and was it made out of cotton? And the answer was no. So, i.e., the test wasn't flawed. But by doing that, they're acknowledging that they knew the difference between the cotton fiber and the linen fiber.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things like we have investigated ourselves and we have determined that we're innocent of this deed.
Yeah.
When you
I can
say
definitely smell shite.
yeah, definitely a scent of shite there. Well, this is from the point of view of the Vatican and the Syndologists. Which basically are the people. It's the study of the Shroud. It's like Syndology is Shroud study. It's an actual scientific branch. It's its own scientific branch. I mean, there's so many people have studied the Shroud that they basically have their own name for themselves.
Right.
And so this is the only artifact in the world that's been studied this closely. So let me, but once again, we're talking about this 1988 test. We're not going into the Shroud itself, but let me play this. This is from a drink with Aquinas, pint with Aquinas, the name of the show. This was a syndologist there, and he's going to talk about all the oddities that came out around that time. Here you go.
Yeah.
Before we get further, I know that people are going to come in with these thoughts of, wasn't this disproved? So it might be helpful to show why that isn't the case before we go on to kind of assuage people's...
Right, let's do that. Okay, so slide 3 here shows some pictures. This is probably what you saw on Front Page News in 1988.
Look
pictures
at that.
Of Dr.
That must
Michael
frustrate you so much.
Yeah,
looking at that.
Can you see the 1260-1390 exclamation part? That's the exclamation part that really, it just screams academic excellence and propriety, doesn't it?
Yes.
These same guys with this very composed stance with their arms folded before these powered pillars. It just says these same guys got what's the number? I'm going to forget, like how many million sterling they got for their new museum. Like the next day, it's a matter of the public record. The moment this was published, they were able to build their new laboratory. Some stuff was very fishy from the start, but it's just the case that across the world, Front Page News everywhere was the Turin Shroud it's been proven to be a medieval fake. It tells us nothing, therefore, about Jesus' sufferings. It can't be considered a relic, etc., etc. And so if you still believed that the Shroud was real after this point, you might as well believe that the Earth is flat. You're about the same category. And my heart just goes out for those people who are serious. Students are the ones who had dedicated hundreds of thousands of hours, especially the team from STIRP in 1978. These guys had published already over 20 peer-reviewed scientific journal articles. They knew from the start to be suspicious of this.
Really?
But what I like, and this I would lead with this now, is that as of 2017, we have a published article that shows that the conclusions from 1988 are no longer sustainable. So I should say that again, the very publication, Archaeometry, out of Oxford, that
published this.
That published that this 1260 to 13, it said that conclusion can no longer be sustained. And so,
and I'm sure that hit the front pages all around the world too,
yeah,
right?
Right. No, exactly. So, though it is a matter of mainstream science. So, if you want to find in the literature, you're going to bump into this. The French researcher who published this article is Tristan Casabianca, another friend of ours who teaches at our university. And he goes into all the details. It's a fascinating story. But I want to say it was in 2017 that according to the Freedom of Information Act, these laboratories were compelled by law to release the raw data that shows how heterogeneous were their individual results, because there was Oxford, Zurich, Oxford, and Arizona. Those were the three laboratories. And the idea was that they were going to publish independently and that their particular results, but that didn't happen. They lumped them together and gave us this big arc, 1260 to 1390, 95% sure that this is the time period from which the Shroud hails, and so it's fake. But the bottom line is that they use a sample from the top left corner of the Shroud, which we know to be anomalous. It's just not representative of the rest of the Shroud. And we knew that, and we had proof of that 10 years prior. You would think somebody would have the sense.
Do you think they knew that?
Well, they ought to have known. That much we know. We knew, though, that in the moment that they're cutting the sample, 8 centimeters of the most prized relic in all of Christendom, and of course you know that with carbon dating, you carbonize it, as you destroy, you put into a fire, basically, this cloth, never to be seen again. And so you'd think you'd be very careful. Like, compare that to the STIRP team, this Shroud of Turin research project of 1978. For a whole year, they prepare just so all of their tests will be non-invasive, non-destructive. And yet here, we're about to destroy forever 8 centimeters, and they don't know where they're going to take the sample 2 hours prior to the experiment. And it's all on videotape. In Italy, there was a documentary that came out just telling this whole fiasco, and it's called La Notte della Sindone. It's the night of the Shroud. And you know who does the narrating, if I'm not mistaken, is the same actress. I'm going to forget her name now, who plays the devil in The Passion of the Christ. Yeah. So it's got some fun imagery there. It's a little
on the nose.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little edgy, but the fact is I can understand why some people were upset. But here's the thing. Even if you think that those laboratories did good science, and I'm willing to be benevolent and say as much, even if they did perfect science, they did so on a sample that tells us literally nothing about the rest of the Shroud. Like, you could look at the chemical composition, like you can see a map, what's called a brightness map from the UV fluorescence. Like, turn off the lights, shine UV, capture what fluoresces, and it tells you about the chemical composition of the cloth. It's all uniform. It's all like orange hues, maybe a little yellow, a little red, but it's not forest green. But that's exactly what color it is in that top left corner. Like, a little kid in kindergarten can point to that and say, look, Mom, that part is different. And yet this is where these, world-renowned scientists.
What happens if you're colorblind?
Yeah. I just have one thing to say. About that. Anyway. All right.
Nice.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, I'm just laughing.
Well, one thing
nice.
All right.
I think one thing all of us can agree on is this: the experts are always wrong. If you want to get me my hackles up, whatever hackles are, tell me the expert said this, and I immediately get defensive. I'm sure you did climate change before I joined this, but like, when I was a kid, it was global cold.
Yeah.
Global cold. We would all freeze to death, and then it was flooding, and then it was global warming, and now it's just climate change. Yeah. And all the experts told me that. Then all the experts, like Fabrizio said, to stay home for 2 weeks. And then the experts said that shot was going to stop COVID dead. And then they're like, no, it was just going to lessen the symptoms. It was going to do nothing. It gives you AIDS. The experts are always wrong. So I don't trust anybody. So I want to know, where is this data? Can we look at it? Mm-hmm. I'm not a carbon expert. I'm not a Shroud of Turin expert. I'm not an expert in anything. So I want to see, where is this information? Can we look at it? Can we analyze it? The fact that it's hidden should raise all the red flags in the world. You know what I mean? And to me, if it's a fake, if it's not Jesus, then show the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Prove it or disprove it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
this is a appeal to authority.
I was going to say, if in defense of the non-religious people, even if it is Jesus, that doesn't mean he was the Son of God either. You know what I mean? It just means that it was a cloth on a person that was whipped and tortured by the Romans and crucified. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't see how this could be a threat to anybody either way. So which makes it, just release the information. You got nothing to lose. But that to me is the biggest selling point, is, can I, as a regular person, find out this information and review it myself?
Yeah.
No. Yes, exactly.
Well,
I mean, we assume that what we're told about Christ is true, and that the Shroud is true, and all of that. So again, like I said before we came live, why the big kerfuffle?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's what the whole thing is. Is that they were petitioning the Vatican for like over a decade, to saying that they wanted to run these tests independent of the STURP team, because the STURP team, even though the STURP team was originally constituted from like all across the scientific and like artistic and just about every single like discipline was represented by that STURP team. Right. Because these guys had been posting like papers for years about their results, what they had discovered. The scientific community at large was saying that, well, they're benefiting from this shroud, so they no longer can be, we can no longer trust their data. And so the community needed people to come in from outside, and the Vatican finally allowed it. And this complete comedy of errors happens, and all the results are not independently released with the full data sets. The results were basically, trust me, bro.
Yeah.
And not only trust me, bro, but exclamation point, we are declaring this 95%. That doesn't happen. No scientist worth his salt would ever declare something at that high a percentage. They would say, at this moment, with the data we're looking at, this is what we have concluded right now with the data we're looking at. And oh, by the way, here's the data for you to replicate our results.
Yeah.
And so, but they didn't do that. They put it all together. They took all these grandiose pictures of them in front of these pillars, them in front of this chalkboard with the exclamation point, and they published everywhere. I remember reading the National Geographic that came out about this when I was a kid, and I remember feeling a little crestfallen. I was like, "Oh, I was kind of like, I thought it was cool, and so National Geographic, I remember that article, had this one square that said that, oh, by the way, this is what the team that's been studying it since 1978, multi, from all walks of life, from all disciplines, people that are respected, like one of the foremost nuclear scientists in the world was one of them. And they have disputed these results. It's this little square. There's like 4 pages of why this is a medieval forgery, how it could possibly be forged. And this little square at the bottom that says, oh, by the way, the people who've been studying it since 1978, they were highly respected in their fields, have posted over 200 articles of their findings that you can look up. They say that this is bunk. This little square at the bottom. It was not even full page. It was like this little sliver at the bottom that says, oh, by the way, this is what the Sturt team says in National Geographic. I remember that very clearly. Time Magazine did a full spread about how this is a medieval fake. British Museum has a habit of making interesting thing in the Smithsonian. I would be very.
That's our version.
Yeah,
that's our version.
Our British Museum's the Smithsonian. Yeah, and they're both connected. They're connected. Oh, by the way, the Smithsonian wasn't even created by an American. It was created by the money from a French nobleman.
Oh yeah.
We studied this when we did the Smithsonian. But yeah, I'd be very shocked if Smithsonian didn't have something to do with the Arizona laboratory. I'd be very shocked.
Probably.
But anyway, so what we're going to the determination we're making here today is, do we think that somebody targeted the Shroud to smear it? Or do we think this is meant just simply scientific incompetence on a incredibly massive level that was just covered up later? So, what say you, Cruel? Do you think it's confirmed that it was targeted, or do you think it's debunked, or do you think it's in the middle somewhere?
I would say it's definitely been targeted. It's just too many things. There's just the incompetence is so far off the scale that it just couldn't possibly be anything else, in my opinion. And if there's anything we know, as John has highlighted, if the experts are saying something, they're probably full of shite. Nowadays. I mean, that's the thing.
Not nowadays, forever. Whenever, right.
Yeah.
Even as a kid, I was just like, remember the commercial? 4 out of 5 dentists tell you to chew sugar. Let's go. There's one dentist telling you to chew sugar. He's, that to me was like the earliest indicator that there's so-called experts that are just wrong.
Yeah.
I remember, you can see those commercials. Smoke tobacco. Tobacco is the healthiest thing in the world. They're always wrong. You know,
Yeah.
it's just as easy
So I
to
think,
buy.
yes, I think it was Target.
As to buy a politician.
Definitely Target.
Right.
Definitely.
Right. So, are you what you going with confirmed? Do you think this was a conspiracy, or do you think it was just massive incompetence and a cover up?
I think it was a bit of a conspiracy. And I think they used incompetence to get away with a lot of it. So, yeah.
Gotcha. What do you think, John?
It's funny because 2016 me would have been they just didn't know what they were doing. But now I don't believe in anything. You know, I'm questioning literally everything. My wife and I were just talking before. I don't want to get it, but there's nothing I believe in the past 50 years anymore. Like, so yeah, why not? This is, you know, what was it? Now I'm gonna mix up the books. Was 1984? They said if you could control the past, you could control the present, and if you could control the present, you could control the future. You know, so there you go. I'm not a scientist. I'm not scientifically, I didn't take anything more than college biology and chemistry. So I can't argue the carbon dating. I just know that the very first thing that I looked up on my own is that carbon dating is not good for anything younger than 50,000 years. That the margin of error is too good, and that's what they use. So right then and there, it's like, okay, if is that a recent discovery? Like, I don't know. So I was leading towards incompetence, but it just sounds like, too much. Like somebody said in the comments, one error is incompetence, 2 errors okay, 3 is a conspiracy. Especially the amount of money involved, the equipment.
Yeah.
Nobody had oversight on that. And the fact that you can't get this research, like right now, there is no reason for any scientific, unless you're Coca-Cola and you got a new flavor of soda that you want to sell for trademark reasons. There's no reason that any scientific research should not be openly available on the internet. So every armchair sleuth, conspiracy theorist, or whatever can either be proven right or shut the F up. So, so I don't understand why it's all behind closed doors. And
Once it's evidence, twice it's coincidence, 3 times it's enemy action.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Lord Zart.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what I feel. It's just the fact that it's behind closed doors. Show us. Maybe you're right. Produce everything and let us know. Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that they set on the data and refused to show it for 3 years, and that little press conference. I mean, the way they conducted that press conference, the way they announced their findings, and the way the press ran with it, and now refuses to print retractions or refuses to follow up. I mean, that's New World Order shit right there. It's like, if it's nothing
that's it.
to it, then why go through all this? So okay, so I'm gonna look at my. I've got 1 vote for confirmed in my my vertical poll, and my horizontal poll. No votes. Okay.
Nobody voted on the plank.
So, yeah. So that would be 4 votes for. Okay. All right. So that is that has been confirmed. We all agree that this is a conspiracy. And so
Definitely a conspiracy. Definitely.
yeah. So it makes you wonder, what are they afraid of? Why
I
were
can't- I
they?
can't
Why were
remember.
they determined to debunk this route? We gave all of the information available last time about that. We decided, this panel decided that, and our poll decided that there's so much preponderance of information uh, around the shroud, that and things that can't be scientifically replicated, that we think there's something to it. So
Yeah.
we agreed that the shroud had some legitimacy to it last time. If you want to look it up, it's right in the playlist. Um, but this is about the. Do we think that the New World Order or whatever is behind all this crap? That seems to be coordinating with the press. That seems to have all this money and resources, and seems to be like disappearing stuff like giant corpses, and
Yeah.
strange artifacts across the world wide or whatever. And the scientists always seem to come out with these consensuses that you can't see the data on, like
No.
the data on the a certain shot. We can't see the data on a certain shot.
Yeah.
Um,
Be locked up for 70 years.
that's been sealed.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
some of the people have mad parties at different places and islands and stuff, and they get up to all manner of
Yeah.
things.
Right.
Mm.
And oh, by the way, everybody is dying of cancer
Yeah,
right now.
that's pretty crazy.
James
lot of
Vanderbeek
that.
the other day.
He's the
And,
same age
uh,
as me. He was the same age as me.
He was
Yeah,
him and his
47.
wife got flack for being anti-vaxxers, so you can't blame that one on him.
Okay. All right. Well,
He was the same age as me. So
yeah. Well, I mean, the lead singer for Three Doors Down just passed away.
Yeah,
And
it's funny. Whenever anybody dies under 50, my first was, did they get that shot?
he did get
Yeah.
the shot. He had to be in some of these venues. He had to get the shot.
Yep.
So
well,
So
I
he
mean, I had
definitely
two
gets
of
a
them,
shot.
but yeah, I had two of them, but I'm okay. I
Did
think.
you have hair before you got the shot?
No. No, I was losing it. I was losing it anyway. It didn't just. Yeah, no, you could just imagine that. You take the shot.
do you
It's like,
believe
"Oh,
they
yes,
found
go,
Noah's
what the
Ark
hell?"
in Turkey?
Really? Turkey?
Yeah, Noah's Ark. We're definitely going to do Noah's Ark one of these days.
Oh, I
well,
just
from all
assumed
the
you did
wars
that
started
already.
over the Lento Longinus. Ah, okay. Yeah. The Lento Longinus. That's definitely an artifact we might want to look into. And the Ark of the Covenant.
Okay.
We've never done that one.
Oh,
So-
really? I
All
joined.
right.
I didn't bring them up. I just figured I'd be laughed at.
Go ahead.
Like, oh, we did that one already.
No, we haven't done that yet. The Ark of the Covenant. No.
Nope. No,
That'd
we
be-
haven't done that
that'd be
one yet.
interesting.
That might be.
That'd be
So
interesting.
we are going to do another show. This was a makeup show from the Snows and my unexpected house guests. So this is our makeup show for that. And we are going to do a show next week. I can't
Lovely.
remember the topic, but we'll announce that later.
It's fine.
Hold on one second.
fine.
I think I can find it because Abby came up with a topic and had
All right,
it had
okay.
like some,
Is it a conspiracy
And,
or a cryptid?
he's usually a conspiracy guy.
Yeah,
So let me
Okay.
see here.
yeah. Well, it's an awful lot of those.
Right.
These are becoming a bit more realistic, aren't they? So it'll be interesting to see.
Right. Okay, let me see what this is. Oh, Antarctic. The Antarctic wall. What's behind the Antarctic wall?
Oh, Agartha.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So next week, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a little bit of a different. What I want to do next week is I want everybody to come up with their own theory about what's behind the Antarctic wall, and because there's so many theories out there, so just choose your favorite theory, and we'll see if who comes up with if there's a consensus that we come up with a consensus. But everybody has,
Right.
what's behind the Antarctic wall? Why can't we fly over the Antarctic? Why is that um, the one treaty that keeps getting renewed without any debate, without
Right.
anybody disputing it
Read Rogue Tale
over
6.
and over again?
That's the answer.
Okay. Rogue Tale 6. All right. Anyway. All right. So John obviously already has some groundwork already laid. Okay. So that's going to be next time. We're going to talk about the Antarctic wall. What's behind the Antarctic wall? It's going to be, we're not going to, so we're going to do a little bit of a different, we'll switch it up sometime.
Yeah.
Old Dirty Fatty just got here. When did it start? We always start at 7:00, my friend. We always start at 7:00. Anyway, thank you for coming, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Wherever Abby and Wookie are. Yep. Wherever Abby and Wookie are, you're both losers. And
Yeah.
and wimps.
Loser.
Yep. Loser. Anyway, losers and wimps, both of you. Anyway, hopefully we'll see them back next time. But thank you for coming, John. Thank you for coming, Gruel. Thank you for coming,
Thanks for having
Chat.
us.
Thank you.
Once again, we believe that the whole Shroud was targeted, concerted conspiracy. That's our conclusion for the night. It has been confirmed. And we will see you next Saturday night when we talk about the Antarctic wall, what's behind the Antarctic wall. And so that's been Cryptids and Conspiracies. Night, everybody.
Good night. Have a good one, folks.